Mel, look at us.
Oh my gosh.
It's the beginning of March, everybody.
Don't raise the roof. I should not raise the roof.
Raise it. Just raise that roof.
Look at this.
Backdrop.
That's our new little backdrop.
Just forget about the lines.
We have to iron it out a little bit, which, we get it. But how do you know we're not on stage?
You don't.
You don't.
And now if we get rid of the lines, you really won't.
You really won't. And if you were on Patreon, you would see what we were talking about. So go over to Patreon/Moms2. We're going to talk about the side of the mouth where there was... No, we're not.
Whoa.
We cannot talk
She's
about... No. No more of that jazz. Brooklyn Sample, we read a book.
What? Well, I listened to a book.
I listened to a book, too.
Okay, good.
Don't fuck
Don't
that
lie.
noise. No.
No,
Bye.
we don't have time.
No. But
that's why we love Audible. I had to add the S because Cameron...
You know it's
Uncle
Audible.
Cam, I know, but I'm that lady now. I'm to that point. Like I might as well move on to the interwebs because I call it Audibles. And every time I say it, you've brought it up, and then even Uncle Cam, he was like, Audibles. Brooke, is it in plural? Or
when I listen to the Audibles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But now I've embraced it, and I don't give a fuck.
I'm glad you have. No, it's
Speaking
fine.
of not giving fucks.
Oh, not giving a fuck. We read a book, and it is called Brooklyn.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
Which is funny because I feel like this book has been around for a really long time.
It has. I've seen it all the time, and I'm like, I need to read that because it has the F word in it. I'm very mature.
Poop.
Poop.
But, Katie, the congresswoman...
Oh, Katie Porter?
She
was reading it during all of the...
And so when she was reading it, I didn't know what it was about, but
they were waiting to try to get
out.
What's his name? Now. McCarthy as a speaker. That's so funny. Well, are you ready to do this month of March? Because we have some really incredible... Look, it's Oscar month.
And we're going to do a special episode before the Oscars, after we've watched as many as we possibly can of the nominated movies. And then we're going to do an after the Oscars so you can see how stupid we were and what we thought. And we don't know shit. And we're okay with it.
Yeah, we're okay. You know why? Because we don't give a fuck.
Nope. Well, now we don't.
Yeah, we really don't. We have been validated in that.
Yeah.
And and it's great because I feel like that as of, especially 2022... I had a lot of not giving a fucks.
You did.
And I had a lot of not caring and not caring if I failed or not caring if I really, pissed people off who weren't on my wavelength, and not in a negative way, but just I need to do the work.
Yeah.
And I was just being honest. And if it made them upset because I was being honest, that's their problem. It's not my problem. This book touches on a lot of that, and I felt really validated.
Well, and I think that it helps, because I thought about you last year, too, and I kept thinking, this is genuinely what Brooke was saying to me over and over and over, and I believed you, and I trusted you, of course, but listening then to this book, I was like, she was fucking already there.
But you helped me to, pull me out of the gunk. I knew that there was... I was kind of stuck in a mud, and even though I was like, but I gotta, and it goes back to old ways of thinking, right? Because I'm like, I committed.
There is a huge clearing going on right now. Well, no, but I genuinely feel like there's a huge clearing going on right now with everything that's in the blah 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 in the universe, whatever. But it is. I feel like we're noticing things and seeing things.
There's a shift.
There's a shift, but it also might be because we are doing the podcast and we're actually talking about this shit out loud on a regular basis. That we're
but
following.
I'll be honest with you, we did a lot of work last October and November where we cleared a lot of shit and made room. And so, and whether we knew what we were making room for or not, I think sometimes we think we're making room for something. And then it was really, universe was like, no, you were making room for this. Yeah. And we will discuss, but I this month, and you will find out some things, some of the other projects that we have been touting as of past months. There are some shifts in that. you're going to hear about that this month as well. And this book helped to
understand that they are not failures.
Yeah, and helped to like know that it's okay.
And clarify the reason you're doing it is because of blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
As my grandma would say.
Wash.
Get that
Are
oral.
you ready to get into the episode?
Let's get into that episode.
Woo!
Let's go.
Okay. Hi, Brooke.
Mel, we read a book. We listened to a book, and we're going to talk about it here on this episode.
We are. It's going to be so good.
It's going to be so good.
We listened and read. Mostly we just listened. But
No,
I
I didn't read shit. I listened on like speed too because we picked this book kind of late in the game.
We did because we were particular. We really wanted to have something that we were trying to figure out what's going on with our lives, right? We had a lot of shifts going on and we couldn't figure out what book was going to help us in that moment. And a lot of the books about clearing ended up being about weird death and ghosts and or
like how to change in your life. Like then the changes in your life and like no that's not what this is. So this book I felt like really
hit it on the head
100%.
Yeah.
So we'll just like catch you up on a few things. We've really went in hard on we're doing Fringe and writing this thing and you're gonna follow us on the journey. Well, you're not. Okay. Because life happens and Fringe is not a part of that right now.
Right now.
But
that's only because we have had big, huge shifts in our lives and openings and clearings and this book does really, really, really get into these things and not, I would never say accepting them, but also
accepting the journey. Yes. Like actually being okay with the journey and the failures, quote unquote, or the like just the changes and being okay with the changes and learning how to find joy and coming out of that, right?
You know what? I feel like Fringe we can do whenever we want. We have a show, but when we don't have space for it, and it has nothing to do with us not wanting to do it or us not being ready.
I just want to be a part of that community. I just want to meet people, and that was my whole.
Do that.
100%.
Because we can still go to all the shows and
we can.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But we thought that by putting something up at this year's Fringe was going to propel us in a certain way, not realizing that we have apparently other plans. And the other plans are that there are more important things going on and bigger things that will propel us that we didn't necessarily count on being as big as and important as we thought they were.
They were like, it moved everything to the front of the line as far as our productivity, and Fringe kind of got pushed to the back. However, I feel like, I had a lot of guilt around that.
Yeah.
Because we had already pulled a lot of people in. And so it was hard for me to make that decision. It was hard, but at the same time,
it felt freeing.
I didn't give a fuck.
I know you didn't give a fuck.
So this book was like, but then I had guilt because I kind of didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because I was concerned about the way it was going to impact others, not how it was actually affecting me.
But they're still going with us. They're still like, we're never going to get rid of the people that we really, really want to be around in our community that we're going to take with us wherever we go, right? Yeah. And that might also open up other things for them. Like there was even one of the guys that was going to be in the show was talking about how he's going to balance. He's doing this show and he's really excited about it and da-da-da-da-da. And we were going to make it work, of course, for his schedule because we care about what he has planned too. But we had to move Fringe to the back of the line because things started moving faster and more furious in other ways. And so like with the podcast and with a feature film that we're doing and a couple of other things and life and being proud of certain things that are going on in our lives and the space that we're making for all of these things that are making us genuinely happy.
And that we're enjoying the process.
Yeah.
So the book that we read was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
Which was hard for me because I have a lot of guilt about everything, always.
And I think some of the core takeaways are...
don't give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck about things that are not your values. So you have to decide what your values are. Those values cannot be connected to how other people feel, right? So you can't create a value for yourself
that's predicted on how someone else will make it happen.
Be in control.
Yeah.
It's about how you're in control of the situation. For example, if you say, when I'm around other people, I just want to make them feel good and I want them to feel okay. Instead, because that's predictive upon how they feel.
Right.
Not you.
You don't have control over that shit.
Right. And
that's
so,
my problem.
So you shift that to saying, I'm going to be better in social situations.
Right.
Because that's something you can control. And then there's no cap, right? And then you're not a failure if those other people's feelings get in the way,
Don't
right?
let other people predict what your problems will be. When you are in control of your own problems or when you're in control of your own values, right? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be creative. I'm going to have humility. These are things that we can do. Bad values would be, I'm always going to be right. I'm going to make people happy. I'm going to be the most popular person in the room. None of that is based upon anything you have control over. So fucking throw it in the trash.
Right.
Because you don't have control over it. What's the point?
And so when you simplify your values and you simplify who you identify with, right? I'm not this complex creative that no one understands, because you're always going to be let down because no one can ever meet that. You're just a creative, period, right?
Moms are too.
Silly.
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so how do you feel like that these points of effect, like you can look at it in your life and say, oh.
Well, honestly, I feel like when it has to do with things with auditioning, I go into the room, I'm excited about the drive there, I'm excited about the prep, I'm excited about meeting new people, and then I get in the room and it's then not up to me anymore. I do the work and then it's not up to me anymore. And I think that's where with my acting, I've really had a problem with. You either enjoy that process, which is great, and you're willing to let that go, or I feel happier when we're doing the podcast because I'm doing the work, I'm doing the research, I'm working with you, you and I are putting the effort, and then I'm learning all these things with tech or whatever that are fucking hard, and I cry, and
she cries.
I do. But it's hard, but I'm in control of the problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And part of when you're an actor and you're not booking, or you are booking, or you're on set and you're getting weird direction that you didn't know was coming, or whatever it is, you're never in control in that way anymore. And I feel like that's where in my life I'm having a hard time with. So I
think that's why we've even moved on into directing as well. And not just to say, oh, well, we've got control over it, but because we also have that overall beginning, like pre-production vision into conception, right? But it's ours, and it's not, we may work collaboratively where we're enjoying the process again with but
other creatives.
Don't you think
that's kind of like what we also want to do? We are so sensitive to people that, I'm not saying we're like good people or anything, because we're fucking
actually
not.
We are good people.
You're
we
right.
Are good
we
people.
fucking are, Brooke.
We are good people.
And when we're directing, one of the things that we try to do is make sure people feel like they have control of their problems, right? They're never put in a situation, our actors, I feel, at least we try to, we never put them in a situation where they feel like they're out of control. They're making the decision to go further, to break out of their own freedoms.
Well, we're also trusting them. You hire them to play these roles and to bring something to these characters, and you're trusting them to make the choices. Now, you can guide them and give them options,
but we also make that very clear. We, from the beginning, you are here for a reason.
Right.
We coddle, in a way, we coddle our actors because we understand what it's like on the other fucking side.
Yeah.
To be ignored and to not know. But as, like, and maybe that's the thing, is like, even when I'm on stage, I like being vulnerable. We just watched Keep Me.
Oh my gosh.
Right? We did a show in Panama, and we watched it the other day. Thank you, Giancarlo, for sending it. And it was, like, not great or whatever, but I liked the vulnerability in it, though. Like, there were things that each of us did in the show that I was like, that was good.
Yeah.
Not all of it. We didn't have eyes on it either. We didn't have a director.
No, we were
it was us.
directing.
Right.
It. Yeah.
So, but there were
And
so
also
many things
it was
that,
like 12 years ago. So
Yeah.
I'm like looking at it going, oh my God, there's so many beats that
of
needed
course,
to land.
Of
And
course.
like we didn't
When you're directing and
yeah.
acting in your own show, it's very difficult. But I liked that. I know how I felt on that stage.
Yeah.
And I liked feeling vulnerable, but it was also because it was ours.
That's true.
And it was our problem.
Mm-hmm.
We can make it as good as we can make it. It isn't up to other people. And I know that sounds shitty and like, oh, you can't be directed or whatever, but that's a whole different fucking podcast.
No, we can be directed. We did shows with people, not even like full shows, but even like two-nighters and things where we were, look, it wouldn't have been our choice as directors, but
And that's okay.
It wasn't our direction.
Show.
And it wasn't
Right.
our show. And we were there to facilitate, and we knew our role.
Right.
And we did, you know, we came and brought what we brought, and then we let the director tell us. So we're totally
Getting off topic.
malleable in
What?
that way.
Yeah.
Who, us?
What? But this book, I will tell you what, one of the things that really did stick with me is two things. Can I tell you the two things?
No.
Okay, bye. No. Two things. One was the you are in charge of your own problems. If you are in charge of your own problems, you are going to be much happier in your life. You are going to what is going on with the ice? I bought Brooke an ice machine for her
my
birthday
office.
and it's in
So we
here.
didn't have to walk out to the bar.
And you know what's going to happen? Y'all are going to just have to get used to it. So, Rob,
If you
Get
hear
used
the
to the
ice
ice
machine,
machine.
just
get
to
used
let
to
it
it.
be. Just subtly don't give a fuck.
it is what it is.
okay?
That's right. Fucking cheers. Rob, don't give a fuck. It's fine. And you know what's going to happen, though? He's not going to be as nice to us. Because he's so nice to us.
You can tell. Rob, you're such a sweetheart.
You are. But you
You
can tell
put
when
up
he
with
kind
so
of gets
much of our
like a
shit.
little rolly eyes. He never rolls his eyes at us. But you can tell when it's sort of
This is
like,
our producer.
yeah. We love him and we appreciate him. And
Too much. Like, we love him so much as our to keep us in track. And sometimes I just think, oh my God, he's going to leave
poor
us.
guy's
oh
going to leave
God,
us. He's going to break up with us at
leave.
some point. Oh my God. What were we
He's going to
saying?
get really big for his britches. And
Oh, he is.
it's like in
That's
a
the
good
thing.
way, not in a
Yeah.
bad way.
No,
Like,
in a good way because
and
he's
then
a really
leave
good
us.
producer. But okay, so my two things are we still talking about the book?
let's get back to the book.
Thank you for presenting to the audience.
Let's put a pin in that and get back to the book.
But my two things are the problems thing where it's like if it's your problem, then if you're in control of your own problems. But the second thing was the Picasso story.
Love it.
And I think I've heard this before. I feel like Danielle Chitwood Fabrega.
I've heard this before.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
feel like she said it to us before. Or she said it to me before. So Picasso was at a restaurant doodling, as
On a
one would do, on a
napkin.
napkin with coffee stains or whatever. And this woman came up to him and said, "Oh my God, he was leaving it. He was done. He was leaving his table and he was crumpling it up and throwing it in the garbage." And she came up to him and was like, "Oh my God, can I have that?" And he
I'll
was like,
even pay you for it.
"Yeah, I'll even pay you for it." "Oh, right, bitch." And he was like, "Okay, it's $20,000. And she was like, "Wait, why? You just worked on that for like 2 minutes." And he said, "I've been working on this for 30 years or whatever it was."
60, yeah. 60
For 60 years.
I think it was in his 90s or something.
Yeah. So, bitch, no. So, like, that goes along with our old stuff about the process and the 1% and the 10,000 steps and all that stuff. But it's also the failing forward. Like, this now first of all, he knows his worth.
Right.
Which I fucking love.
Yeah.
Right? Know your worth. But he's been working on this and making mistakes and failing forward and doing things that he wasn't proud of. Works, not sleeping with women and whatever. Like,
well, we don't know.
He might have been proud of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
You don't want to talk about, you want to speculate on Picasso's?
I'm trying to have visuals, and I don't know if I want that.
No, because I'm only picturing him as 90.
Exactly.
And so wrinkly. Pee-pee.
And based off of some of his sketches, like...
It was like wonky.
You know, he was...
It was probably like sideways.
Skewed. Totally.
What if he was painting how he saw things? Like his own form. What if underneath he had like 9 nipples?
I hope so.
Me too.
I really hope he had 9 nipples, and they're like pointy.
But weird pointy, like off to different sides. Not like
they're
the same
all looking
pointy.
in different directions.
Like walleye. He has like walleyes.
Much like his paintings. I just went and saw Picasso painting that they were doing anyway, like over at Norton Simon here in Pasadena, and it was boobs.
But what if he like really saw people like that? Like when I was in Chicago, you know how doctors don't know shit, right? And then we keep going to doctors and they tell us things and we're like, okay, but that doesn't make sense. Like I had Melissa. Melissa knows everything. But when I was in Chicago, I had this eye doctor. I was going to get glasses for like the first time. And he told me that my coloring in my eye was flaking off. And it was floating. I don't fucking know, but it was floating around the inside of my eye, which was what my eyesight problem was, and which is why I couldn't get contacts. And I left that. I took a bus down there on the south side or wherever I went, an hour, and then I took the bus home without glasses. And
thank God you got home.
I mean, right? Well. Yeah.
Your eye color flakes.
But I told people this. Like they would be like, "How is your eye doctor?" And I was like, "I guess I have like flakes going on in my eyes, and I guess that's just why I can't get glasses." So that's what I'm saying is like,
and people did exactly what I just did to you. I shook my
right?
head. No.
I remember like repeating.
And as you repeated it, were you like, "That's stupid"?
No, because it was a doctor.
Because you believed it.
I did. Do you know I'm really gullible though too? Like there were times in and I'll tell you, maybe we tell this story tomorrow when we interview Mark Rose, because there is I'll tell it now because I don't know if Mark, whatever. So Mark Rose is going to be on the show in a few weeks, and he's our industry person. Anyway, you'll hear about him. So I was working at the Improv in Chicago or in Cleveland. And I was saying like, oh, Mark was on the schedule like twice a month, right, for a week. And he was a middle at the time. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I was looking at the schedule. And I was like, Mark isn't on the schedule. That's weird. And our friend, Craig Peters, who loves to lie and thinks it's hilarious, said to me, oh, my God, Mel. Now, by the way, his girlfriend was sitting in the front seat. And she's a friend of mine and worked at the Improv as well, and she just went along with him because she knows what funny is. And he's like, oh my God, Mel, you didn't hear? And I was like, what? And he was like, well, Mark isn't invited back anymore. I'm like, what? That's crazy. Why? And he was like, well, because he was in Boise and he took a shit on stage. And I was like, what? No. And he was like, yeah. He took a fucking dump on stage and he walked off, and so he's not allowed on stage anymore. I mean, and the thing is, when you work in comedy clubs, there are people that can get pushed to a limit. Not necessarily to like take a shit on stage. No, I don't know.
Is that going to be in his next book?
Maybe.
Hey.
Oh, future. No, but I believed it. And then so when Mark was coming back in town,
you were like, Mark, what have you done?
No, I said, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. No. I was talking to Mario, who is the manager at the time. I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad Mark I see him back on the schedule. And he was like, why? And I was like, well, because he took a shit on stage. Because we were all in this, like the Booker. In Boise. It could have been Omaha. Who knows? But And Mario was like, what? And I was like, yeah, Mark took a shit on stage. You know, I guess that's, Sarah doesn't care, of course, because, you know, she was the booker. Of course, she loves him, and we all love him. So, of course, she's going to get over it. And he was like, what? And he was the manager, like, taking over for Sarah and I, who was doing the bookings and stuff. And it was, like, a big deal. And because I fucking repeated it, it was a big deal. And then, I don't know. I don't think anything ever happened to Mark.
Did they have to look into it? Like, did Mark
I'm sure somebody just asked Mark. And then he was like, no, Craig Peters just told Mel that, and she's a fucking naive. And everybody was like, oh, right. Mel just fucking believes anything.
So you believed that your coloring of your eyes were flaking, and that's why you can't have contacts.
Yeah.
So what did that have to do with
I'm saying my naivete in that aspect of, like, doctors and stuff is I don't have a point right now. Let's get back to the book. No, there was a point, but I don't remember. So, but that's the book. Let's get back to the book.
So you had your points pertaining to
Picasso,
your values and your doctors.
Yes, Picasso. Because
and
maybe
he has 9 nipples.
maybe he had flaky eyes. And that's how he saw the world.
Oh.
Do you like how I circled that?
I like that.
Okay. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Tell me your points. What were your points from the book?
So, like, relevant to my life right now and why I felt like this book was important. I think I kind of touched upon it with the fringe aspect and feeling okay with prioritizing what my values are.
Yeah.
Right now, I have to put value into this podcast because it's our weekly job. This is our job.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like at the forefront, right?
Yeah.
Outside of, like, you know, on top of family stuff.
Yeah.
And the changes that are coming into our life for that.
Yeah.
And then also, like, some of the other, like, the production stuff that we have going on. So that's kind of where I'm placing my values because I know I have control over that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I did have to, like, kind of shed that guilt a little bit about, like I said, I kind of didn't give a fuck, but then I cared because we had people invested, but everybody's okay. Yeah. And it's not the end of it. We've just postponed when those kind of theatrical ventures can occur. Another thing that I found that I thought was really funny that I had to kind of check myself on.
Ooh, tell.
Is, you know, me. I'm, like, all into, like, new age metaphysics. Yeah. I can get into the crystals and I can get into the angels and I can get on all that shit. While I'm still I enjoy that process. Yeah. Of, like, just learning because obviously I have a connection to what that is. Yeah. I think it's twofold. So I'm not to the extreme where he talks about some people continue searching and searching in those areas, and then you're always going to not feel good about where you are right now because you don't feel like you're happy or you're not complete or I have to find it. So you're constantly searching, right? Right. I am not to that point where that's all that I believe, and so there's nothing else. Right? I know that I have much more to learn. I just happen to gravitate towards that aspect of spirituality because that's just what I connect with. Yeah. I enjoy that process. Yeah. I have to laugh because he was talking about like some girl that he was in a relationship with and that she was all like she was like a lawyer, went to like a high, you know, whatever, Ivy League school and super intelligent girl, but she ended up quitting all of that, spending all of her money into like going to gurus and all of these like workshops about metaphysics and angels and crystals. And she said that she tapped and healed her cat's like gallstones or something. And he was like, yeah, fucking right. And I wanted to say, but I actually...
But I actually
so because I believe in that stuff,
right?
Am I a freak about it and spend thousands of dollars going to like workshops and doing else? No. Close. I enjoy the process. No. Exactly. I'm teetering. But not to the point, but I had to laugh because I actually, when I was really into my crystals and crystal healing, we lived in Panama, and my cat at the time, which I people who are cat people, that's great. I love you. I will never have a fucking cat again in my life. Yeah. I had those 2 cats because I rescued them. Yeah. And I felt obligated to take care of them, and I'd never had cats before. Yeah. And then after those cats, I will never have cat again. I'm just not a cat person. However, I am an empathetic.
Yes, of course.
I love animals. I'm going to take care of them. In the process, like when we moved to Panama, one of my cats like wouldn't move. Like he couldn't go up the stairs. He was sick. Like something was wrong. And I like had been reading books about like healing through crystals. I was trying to implement what I had learned. That cat, after I did that, I swear to God, the cat was totally fine. I also, exactly. Everybody can, but I had to, but I laughed at myself.
I have flakes in my eyes.
Well, it's funny because when I told my husband that, my husband was like, "You don't have to tell people that." Like, I wouldn't go around like I'm saying it on the podcast now to all of our listeners, but he was like, "You don't need to tell people that." Yeah. Like, let's just keep that between us. Yeah. He believed me, but at the same time, he also knows that I'm half kooky. It's fine. Right. But I also did it. I've done some energy clearings. Anyway, I got a big kick out of that because I'm like, yes, of course, people think. Yeah. Anyway, and then another aspect was just knowing that that's not all. Like, I don't have to keep searching in that direction to feel whole. Yeah. One of the things he talks about it is when you're constantly looking for finding wholeness, or you're reading all of the books, or you're looking into this and you want to be better, and like you're always wanting to be better, if you don't just like say, I'm fucked and I'm okay with that right now, like not okay, what am I going to do about it? But it's okay to be in that space.
And you know what's funny?
Because you're never going, that means you're not happy right now. If you can't say I'm not going to be happy until I figure that out, then you're never going to be happy right now. And I think that, again, that goes back to like Eckhart Tolle, like being in the now. Yeah. And just being okay with that. And it's okay to like search and to read the books and to find inspiration and to do that. But don't, and when it comes to spirituality, I always believe in saying, because I used to go to church and was like, really into the Christian belief system, which I love me some Jesus. My thing is I never wanted to put God in a box. And I think that much to his point with that girl, where she made that everything. Right. And if it wasn't that, then it's nothing.
That's always been my fear with the crystals and the whatever. I've always worried about making it everything. And maybe because I grew up that way, that Jesus and God and Catholicism was everything. It was my belief system, right? And so I feel like much with acting, I want to just build my toolbox.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so, but even when I'm okay not feeling comfortable with crystals in my house. They might work. They might be beautiful. They might help me right now. And that might come. But for some reason right now, I'm not connecting in that way. And so reading then this book made me feel like this right now is what I needed to hear. Yeah. And so this is going to go into my toolbox, and my evolution, that was the other thing too, is your evolution is always changing because you're always failing and learning, and you're never going to know everything. And so because you were younger and thought, I'm going to be this and I know this and whatever, doesn't mean that you're a failure because you're not that thing. It means that you evolved through learning, through your experiences, through visiting other countries, through friends that you've had or whatever, that you've been open to learning, and you're not always right. And that is one of the hardest things for some people, not necessarily us, but because we always assume we're always wrong. But for some people to not always be right, then you're never learning, and then you're not evolving. And you're
I
not
think
really
it goes
listening.
back like not putting anything in a box and saying that that's the utmost all, right? Yeah. And that's why I think that's where you can kind of have those subtles not giving a fuck. It's like I can enjoy the process of learning about those things and implementing them and seeing if they work. I can also
That's what it is.
like, so I think too, when you get rid of those things that you identify yourself with, and they even talk about that, like much to your point,
I
like,
am a bleh.
It can be painful to realize when you're trying to change and evolve that is not who you are, because those are things that you've told yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. I just thought that was really cool. I had to laugh because I was like,
that is really funny.
You know,
especially the gallstones, like
the
come
cat,
on.
and like
how specific,
and the fact that he was like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of here!" Like in the book, like when she said like healed her cat. He was like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of here." I was like, you dumb bitch.
Oh, that's me, Mirror.
I know.
Yeah.
But I can laugh at myself.
Of course.
Yeah.
I had a mirror moment, too, when they were talking about some of the bad things that you can say to yourself. Bad habits would be that you are positive about everything.
Oh,
and
my
I was
God,
like,
yeah.
fucking, that is me. Like, I need to work on that. Like, your dog has cancer. Well, at least you won't have to buy food anymore.
Well, it wasn't the dog.
Oh,
it was your kid.
Oh,
my kid died of brain cancer.
Oh, right.
I guess I won't be having to pay for college.
Right.
He was like, no, we don't have to be that positive all the time.
And that was what Jessica.
That's horrible. I'm really sorry for anybody that's had. I have no.
We're not making fun of it. That's what
no,
I'm
because
saying.
I have friends that have dealt with childhood cancer,
100%.
and like that's not the. It was
what
just,
he's saying in the book is you cannot. Things are allowed to be shit.
Yes.
And you're allowed to be suffering, and you're allowed to think that things are shit, and sometimes you're allowed to live in that, and then you can pull yourself out of it.
But it's how you
part of
grow
the
is how
process.
you deal with the pain.
Right.
Like how
Now.
the pain is like actually you should look at it and go, I'm feeling the pain right now. I think Cameron touched upon that when he talked about his grief, and he was like, you know what? I'm feeling this.
And he wasn't allowed to because of how he was taught to just sort of put it on the back burner and whatever. That
but
he
the
actually
growth
was able to
that he had coming out of that
was because he actually looked at it.
He didn't like continue like drinking through it or
Right.
going out through it and like
Right.
trying to process it that way. He actually felt it.
And that's probably harder than anything.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I just think this book is for anybody in whatever aspect of your like situation and in your life. Yeah, it'll help you in all things.
And it's funny. And it's well
really
written.
funny.
And it's well read if you're going to do the Audible. And it's just easy. Audibles. And it's easy to listen to because it didn't, as much as I love Eckhart Tolle.
What do you mean?
Ding.
You're
Fucking
an
what? No. This was something I could listen to my headphones while I was driving, walking, working. Like it felt like it was easy listening.
Easy listening.
And it wasn't all kooky. Not that I don't mind the kooky, because I like the kooky, because I like you.
Well,
and you teach me a lot of things.
But again, I can take the kooky and I can take this. And to me, both are as relevant as the other. You know what I mean?
I'm still learning the kooky side of it. I want to learn the kooky side of it. I'm very, very open to it, and I'm trying. I'm not going to have fucking crystals in my house yet.
I might set some somewhere, and you might not even know it.
And that's fine if I don't know
I'm going to put the
about
energy on it, and it's going to be my energy in the house.
I'm comfortable with that. I'm fine with that.
And don't put any pressure on what that's supposed to do for you.
I won't even know they're there. Why don't you do that? And I won't even know they're there. And then
I've got two little
don't tell
quartz
me.
crystals. You can't even see them.
I don't even want to know they're there because I don't know what quartz does and I want to Google it. And then you keep tabs on what happens.
It's not even about that. It's honestly, it's just putting good vibes in the room. That's all it is.
Brooke can actually feel the vibrations from the crystals. She'll bring them over.
I'll get like goosebumps. Like it's a vibration in my hand when I'm holding them. So
I believe you.
So I think that's why I'm drawn to that stuff.
Yeah. Because you can feel it.
But I'm also like earth, strong and earth heavy.
Yeah.
So things of the earth, the water, the like smoke, like that's why I burn sage and I put it in a shell and I fan it with a
Yeah.
feather because I'm using all of those earth elements. Like I'm paganistic in that way a little.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not rolling my eyes at you. I know that you.
Yeah.
I'm not though.
Look,
because,
most people do. It's
no, but here's the
fine.
thing: is because I don't
give a
have that's right. Because I don't have those things in me, I really appreciate them about you.
Well,
Like
that's
I
sweet.
really that's the air and fire thing in us. Like
That's
you
true.
feed me in that way. Like I don't have those things in my being because everything has to be fucking literal or I have to see it
But
or
you
touch
help
it or
me
whatever.
be a little more literal.
Of course.
Instead of me like flying into the stars of like my thoughts.
Oh, that was adorable.
Isn't that great?
But see, this is why we're the best podcast ever.
And I'm glad you're listening. So I hope this book can help you. I would highly recommend it. We're goobers.
Yeah.
And I did have to laugh too at the LSD
Oh, that
comment
was good, yeah.
because he was like, this was what I was talking. What he kind of referenced it when you're talking about searching in those inspiration books.
Yeah.
Because I do that, but he was like, it was like that time that I took LSD and walked closer to the house, and the closer I got to the house, the further away from it I was.
It's true.
And he was
though.
like, I'm using LSD as a,
But
like
that's
a psychological.
But that's how
comparison.
real and honest and whatever he is in this book, which is so funny. I mean, he's just honest and
Yeah,
he's funny.
he's funny, and it's real, and it's down to earth, and
I feel like you can pick it up
that.
and listen to it, and then put it down and listen to it. I mean, I didn't want to. I kind of wanted to listen to the whole thing. 'Cause
I
I was
did,
like
yeah.
in it.
I ran through it. Yeah.
Well, we also had a deadline.
We had a deadline,
But
but it was an easy one
For
to
sure.
get through. It wasn't like some of the other ones we've read where we're like, oh my God, it's so much. I don't even know what it just said. I got to go back and listen to it. Actually, I did have to, because I had it on like speed read. I did have to go
this one?
back and like 30
Oh,
seconds.
that was important.
Just so
Let
I
me
could
go-
get my notes. So I was like, ah, la, 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 la.
oh, I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I go, ah, la, 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 la,
You need to stop doing that.
la, la, la.
We have so many. If you guys are on Patreon, you'll see our beef curtains that we have going on here.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said it. Now no one will ever not see these
But that's the
red
thing why we
beef
have to
curtains.
keep. We have to keep the beef curtains
With
and
our-
the clitoris
our
is probably
glittery
up there
clitoral
somewhere.
hood.
Probably up there somewhere.
Well, yeah, if you're a man.
We know where it is.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
I mean, it's up there somewhere.
7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.
Moms are too.